Welcome back to the channel, Crypto Trend Trader, with a quick update on the markets. But before we get started, I'd like to remind you it's not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile, so please do your own research and trade responsibly. Here we have the Wyckoff distribution chart on the S&P 500 SPX, and as you can see, we got our upthrust after distribution, and we're selling off. We broke down we broke down below our resistance point. Got that massive gap down and then sell off here, and we're currently inside of the Ichimoku cloud. It's a strange situation because of percentage limits and everything, and like the breakers and whatnot on the traditional stock markets. There can only be like so much percentage price movements in a day, and because of these like massive volatility and everything, some of this can't be like expected to play out in a single day. So like we may see a bounce back up or a gap down or whatever, but I would still expect these different like resistance and supports, moving averages, Fibonacci's, etc., to be respected. But we may not see it like as clearly as we would in like a less volatile situation, if that makes sense. So because we're seeing such massive moves and huge candles and everything, we just have to look for these key levels, but like we can't look at the little like moves inside of the overall big picture. So right now we're on the weekly chart, and the most important areas that we need to focus on are essentially like the red resistance here, which is where we gapped down to and then sold off from, and that's at 28.69 basically. And then our support zones down here, which we have at 25.39 and 23.53. And those are obviously like very important, and then also like the Ichimoku cloud, or like different levels based on Fibonacci. And now because of how this situation is right here, when we're going to essentially like fib this, we're going to pull up our fib retracement tool over here, and we're going to go from this move right here, and we're going to essentially like fib the entire move from down here at our support zone to the top here of the upthrust after distribution. And essentially like what we're looking at now is we're right at the 618. We're right at the point 618. So right here is like a key level where we would expect like a bullish retracement. But now, considering the situation and everything, we're not necessarily just going to jump right into a trade here and assume. But typically what we will have happen in a situation like this is you'll see a 2 fib level bounce. So you'll bounce from like the 618 back up to the 0.5 and then to the 382, and then you'll see the selling off continue back down, and look for support at like a lower level. So, but again, at this point in time, the volatility, everything going on, the last thing you want to do is jump in, because technical analysis much less reliable in a situation like this when fundamentals may be like overthrowing like technicals completely. And like everyone's saying, we're potentially entering this recession or whatever, but like I've been saying, like more realistically, we probably have already been in a recession for like months, and we're just now seeing like the actual effects of it. So at this point in time, the 786 is going to come in right in line with that green support level right here at like 25.60, and then finally the 886 is coming in down here at 24.63 and 23.53. But it is important that we do take into account like potential worst case scenario, which is that we're not going to fib from that area right there, but we're actually going to be like fibbing from this 1800 range right here. And so like that fib level, if we pop that up real quick, we basically have sold down to the 382 right here. If we got the 0.5 retracement, that's going to put us in again down in line with the 786 almost exactly, and then our 618 is going to come in line in between the 886 and the blue support level at 2400. So, and then just changing gears real quick and going over to Bitcoin, it's important. I've got us on the weekly chart here on Coinbase, that we do look at the big picture. And again, everyone is very focused on like the blue support line or the yellow support line or whatever, but it's very important in the situation that we look at the green support line is the most important one. And that's the most important because it's taking into account like the market top at $400, and then coming into account like market top to market bottom, and the market bottom being at $3,000. And then as it comes up here, it's going to form like this triangle that we essentially now, everyone else was so focused on this yellow triangle, this yellow support line, that had been holding price up and how we were going to bounce it. And we broke straight through it and, smash everyone's stop losses. And essentially, I'm going to go into the daily now. Essentially prove my point that everybody's just like, regurgitating the same information and, just taking trend lines that they saw on someone else's chart. So more realistically, what's going to happen now is we're going to come down here and we're going to test this green line, the market top to market bottom trend line. And then that's going to act as support when we come down here. Hopefully it's going to come in at a newer low, a higher low. So hopefully we're going to come down here, and by the time we get down, it's going to come in at like the 786 or the 886, and we can put in a new low. But in all reality, it's looking more realistically like we're going to be coming down here and taking out that head and shoulders low that we put in at like 6,400. And, essentially we're just going to be looking for support at like one of the previous levels or our parabolic green trend line here. So at this point in time, it is obviously looking very bearish. I have been warning about it this entire way. Through this situation, that it did in fact look like this exact situation was going to play out. So here we are, we're at a key support level. I did take a scalp off of this area after we blew through the 618. I basically was thinking that the 236 382 area right here, because of the levels of confluence and the way that you can obviously see price action had interacted with it, this was a key level. So I expect there to actually be like at least some sort of bounce here, possibly a move as high as up to the 382 here and retest the breakdown area at like 85.60, and potentially, or even like the 0.5 here, potentially just get like a bounce back up, take that scalp profit and sell back off. But again, I'm just going to trail my stop loss up here as we go, because there's no reason to turn this winner into a loser. But we had been interacting with like the purple 618, obviously up here. We blew through it and then came back down through it. When we lost support here, I was expecting at some point in time we'd come down to 0.5. I didn't realize it would be like right away. But with the 0.5, the 236, like the 382 in blue here, everything lining up like perfectly, it just made a lot of sense with that much confluence at this level to go ahead and take a trade. And like when you just glance at the chart, you can see this level right here. Like this 7,700 basically level is a clear area that we've interacted so many occasions. So again, like the likelihood that we would just drop through something like that is very unlikely. Again, I'm not going to get greedy with it. I don't expect this to be like some long trending trade or anything like that. I'm just looking for like a quick little scalp position. Like I said, I basically closed out all my positions on altcoins. Another way that I knew, obviously, that the market was topping out and we were getting ready for a massive correction was once again I was seeing posts like $16 Chainlink inbound, and hearing people talk about how like Chainlink was the next hedge and it was going to the moon and all this stuff. And I knew that was obviously like what happens is a single coin like starts getting a bunch of attention and gets like overly inflated. Now granted, it didn't dump down like massively or anything like that, so overall that's cool, but to me that's like an indicator. Also, I heard people talking about like $1,000 Ethereum, which obviously is ridiculous and may never even happen again. But regardless of getting into like the details of that, I took a short at Ethereum at $240 and was a little excited this morning with my video. I closed it at 200, so that was a beautiful 20%, and I was using a 5x leverage, so essentially doubled my position on that. So that was exciting. I was very happy about that. Not that I don't believe in Ethereum. I think Ethereum's great, and it's one of the few alts that's actually like produced something in this space. But again, this was very obvious to me that we were still in a bearish correction, and everyone was getting overly exuberant. Meanwhile, the entire traditional stock market financial institutions were like basically like going into like a global meltdown. So 2 and 2 just didn't quite add up. Everybody today, like really not even today, just recently, like all the influencers, like traditional markets, crypto, YouTube, regular TV, all over the place. All these people are like basically they sound like those specialists who come in like to like try to talk you down off the ledge, and that's how I know that all these people are just like spitting out all this like BS and essentially getting everybody pumped up. I remember hearing Warren Buffett talk about like hold and buy the dip and all this like when the sell off first began, and now everybody's wrecked that listened to them, and Kramer and all these different people basically giving people financial advice that's total trash, and it's very sad and very unfortunate. And now I hear like all these people talking about like plus token and one scam and this, that, and the other, and that's why all this sell off happened and everything. And that's a perfect example of people saying they couldn't foresee the coronavirus. They were making all these price predictions for all these altcoins for this year and getting people all hyped up and putting their moon boots on and, over leveraging in these markets. And now they're just like wrecked. And then their excuse is that they couldn't see like coronavirus coming. And, it's just perfect example of, show me the charts and I'll tell you the news, because, all this was very obvious what was going to happen. And then it's like essentially like the news is just people looking for an excuse why it happened, and why their lottery ticket like wasn't the winner. It's like, stop looking for a lottery ticket and just like take the time and put in the work, learn the TA, understand the charts, understand these markets, and then like you can reap the rewards of like your work, rather than just like buying a lottery ticket and just like hoping and praying that it's the winner, because I feel like that's what people in this space like predominantly are doing. It's very unfortunate how all this is unfolding, and I hate to be right. I would rather be wrong a million times and, not have all these people lose this wealth. But, situation is what it is, so I'm going to take advantage of it, and, I encourage you to take advantage of it as well, and, take this opportunity not only to learn, but to take advantage of the volatility in these markets. Because again, if you like eliminate your bias to the upside or the downside, the volatility is what's key to successful like trades in these markets, and making money over time. So I do encourage you to put aside like any kind of like bias that you have in these situations, and start to take the time to learn and do the actual technical analysis, put in the work, and I think that it will pay off in the long term. And again, as always, it's not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile, so please do your own research and trade responsibly. This crypto trend trader, quick analysis on Bitcoin. I do expect us at some point in the near future to get a bounce here. I don't expect to get like a ton of movement out of it, and potentially like come back up and max out at like 8,600 at the absolute like highest off this move here. But this is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. At this point in time, I think we have very clearly, and definitively made it, abundantly clear to the market that we are going to be seeing continued sell-off, and we're more likely than not going to retest the lows down here in the $6,600 range. And basically what happens down there in those ranges is going to make it very clear as to where the future of these markets are headed, not only in crypto but traditional markets as well. And we'll keep our eye on precious metals, gold and silver, also. And if you have any specific like altcoins or anything you want us to take a look at, or anything in particular, just let us know in the comments. Crypto Trend Trader, and I'm at it. Oh, and by the way, I just want to say how much I really appreciate all the people who took the time to like that video when I asked you guys to comment and search. Like, I got like 10 subscribers just off that one video, and there was like 30 likes out of like 120 views. That means 1 in 4 people, and that's assuming that everybody only watched a video once. I know some of you guys are watching them multiple times, so I mean, just the fact that like basically 50% of you guys, or 25%, whatever it works out to, took the time to actually like that video, share it, comment, whatever. Like, that's just awesome, and I really appreciate it, guys. That's the best way that you can show me support. Like I said, I just want to grow this community together and reach as many people as possible. I really appreciate it, guys. Crypto Trend Trader, and I'm out of here.